Hey, good evening, everybody. Today we're going to be reading from the JPS Tanakh Hebrew English version. We're going to be in the book of Isaiah. I'm laughing because I just recorded this video and it wasn't even recording. I don't do this much. I'm not the best with technology. I recorded this whole thing and to come to find out it wasn't recording. But yeah, we're in Isaiah chapter 2, and we're just going to be discussing this chapter. All praise to Ahaya. And without further ado, here we go. Chapter 2 reads, the word that Isaiah, son of Amoz, prophesied concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the days to come, the mounts of the Lord's house shall stand firm above the mountains and tower above the hills, and all the nations shall gaze on it with joy. And the many people shall go and say, come, let us go up to the mount of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may instruct us in his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. Okay, so the paths that are being discussed here from Isaiah is the path that Yahushua left for us as outlined in Psalm 119. And Psalm 119, Yahushua tells us, I believe in the opening verse, blessed are those who are undefiled in the way, right? And what is the way? The way is walking exactly like Yahushua walked, which is keeping the Torah, and also loving each other, loving our neighbors. A neighbor doesn't mean your next door neighbor. Neighbor means your fellow countrymen. And again, not being racist or excluding anybody or anything like that. But my understanding of the word is this book is for one people. It's a family book. It's for one kindred line. It's for one seed line. It was only for the tribe of Jacob. So with that in mind, and I can say that wholeheartedly from Leviticus 26, I think it's like verse 40 or 42. Is one of the last verses in Leviticus 26. It says it very clearly in here that it's for one group of people that came out of Egypt. That's it. So with all that said, the paths that are being discussed here in Isaiah is Psalm 119. We need to read Psalm 119, understand what it says, pray that back to the Most High with your whole heart, feeling all those emotions as you're praying it back to Him, and really just understanding it and doing it. Our understanding for our people comes through doing. That's what we agreed to in our contract, in our covenant. We said to Moses, we will do and we will understand. That's how we learn. We learn by doing. Like, that's what we chose. That it just is what it is. So we have to read this work to gain a little bit of understanding, but we have to do the work. We have to do the word. We have to walk in the past. We have to get our hands dirty in order to really understand all of the spiritual components to things, right? Also, the reason why I know 119 is Yahushua speaking directly to us through that psalm is he was born on 9/11. And the Bible tells us this, if you look close enough. I believe it's in Revelation, I think maybe Revelation 12 or 13, where it talks about the woman giving birth and the dragon ready to eat the baby at the birth. Well, it gives very descriptive zodiac signs to look out for. And if you plug all that information into any zodiac app, it'll tell you it's 9/11, 2,000 years ago, or 1,000, whatever it was. It even gives you an exact time. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, if I'm not mistaken, 11:58 on 9/11. In the year 2 or 3 BC that Yahushua came into this world, to be precise. So, and then, from the secular world, how we can kind of confirm that he was born on 9/11 is, who in America, how do we call, who do we call when we need for help? 911, right? Or what else do we do here in America for 9/11? We call 911 for help. It was something else. I can't think of it right now. If it comes to me, I'll say it. For instruction, continuing. For instruction shall come on forth from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Thus he will judge among the nations. The word of the Lord from Jerusalem. I never caught this before. I'm just catching it right now. It almost kind of seems like Yahushua might still be in Jerusalem somehow. I don't know. Thus he shall judge among the nations and arbitrate for the many peoples. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not take up sword against nation. They shall never know war again. So to me, what that says is this hasn't happened yet. We still are having wars. We are on the brink of World War III, if you let the media tell it. So we know that thus far in our timeline, this hasn't happened yet. O house of Jacob, come let us walk by the light of the Lord. All right, so what's the light of the Lord? It is the way, it's the law. In Psalm 119, I think it's in 119 verses 41 or 42, somewhere in the 40s, it says, your law is a lamp to my feet or a light to my eyes, something to that extent, if I remember correctly. But basically, it's right there. It's in Psalm 119. It's the way, the truth, the light, right? For you have forsaken the ways of your people, O house of Jacob. So it's talking to us. And notice it's using the term Jacob, not house of Israel. It's using Jacob because Jacob was the deceiver. Jacob, it was before he was transformed. It was before he was a new person, born again, if you will, right? So it's letting us know because, it's kind of giving us a clue. O house of Jacob, O you deceivers, you have forsaken the ways of your people, of our ancestors, right? Because we now believe in Christianity and Jesus is God and all this other craziness that is never the case. And just so it's said, for anybody watching, to me, Jesus is not God Almighty. He's not. Yahushua, I believe, is the son of God Almighty. But he is not, very clear, he is not God Almighty. He's the stumbling stone that is prophesied in the Old Testament. The rock of offense, if you will, I believe, as it says somewhere. For they are all full of practices from the east and of soothsaying like the Philistines. So like predictors of the future, or it almost kind of seems like rapping, because rapping is like, we don't understand how reality works. But if you understand how reality works, when you speak, you're calling things into existence. You're commanding the unseen realm to start to go to work for you. So when I see soothsaying like the Philistines, it's like, oh, okay, you're trying to predict the future. They abound in customs of the aliens. Their land is full of silver and gold. There is no limit to their treasures. What land is filled with silver and gold now, right? It's America. There's no limit to our treasures. There's a Walmart, Target, Costco, Sam's Club, malls, Amazon factories, everywhere. There's no limit. The land is full of horses. There is no limit to their chariots. Same thing with cars. Everybody has a car. You go to New York City, you can't even move. You can walk faster than you can drive. Like it's ridiculous. And their land is full of idols. They bow down to the work of their hands. That's not by choice. I'll say that's like the man, creating the system the way that they did. But yeah, we do. There are certain people out here that do chase a bag, that do go all in for this system, not understanding that it's all fake. It's literally all fake. At any moment, they could cut the power, have your bank account reduced to zero, any of those things. And none of us actually understand Yah's actual creation. We only understand the system of the world that we're living in. So yes, we know how to go out and get jobs and work for the fallen angels, but none of us know how to live in Yah's society once he gets rid of the fallen angels. So don't miss that. To what their own fingers have wrought, but man shall be humbled and mortar brought low. Oh, do not forgive them. Go deep into the rock, bury yourselves in the ground before the terror of the Lord, and dread his majesty. Man's haughty look shall be brought low. Who's haughty right now? There's a lot of people that are happy that Mr. Red Hat won. Not to say that he wasn't going to win, because they're all picked. It's all planned. It's all Freemasonry, and every single president has been picked and planned and put there. So it's all a show for us, for you guys. But anyway, it says, the haughty man's look shall be brought low, and the pride of mortals shall be humbled. None but the Lord shall be exalted in that day, for the Lord of hosts has ready a day against all that is proud and arrogant, against all that is lofty, so that it is brought low, against all the cedars of Lebanon, tall and stately, and all the oaks of Bashan, against all the high mountains and all the lofty hills. So yes, he's using imagery from nature, but he's talking about people and other in institutions that have elevated themselves above the principles and precepts of Yah and Yah's people. So when he's saying, I'm going to bring down the oaks and the cedars, those are people groups. And then the mountains and the hills, those are different denominations of churches, if you will, right? It's everything that's kind of blocking us from seeing what's right in front of us, which is Yah, right? Against every soaring tower, against every mighty wall, against all the ships of Tarshish, against all the gallant barks. Then man's haughtiness shall be humbled, and the pride of man brought low. None but the Lord shall be exalted in that day. As for idols, they shall vanish completely. Kind of reminds me of Avengers Endgame. Like, I'm not sure if he means literally, but it kind of feels like it, because it's not only in this location that it says like they're gonna vanish. And it's not lost on me, because I know how they make these movies, that they present it, and if you remember in Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, when they disappeared, it's kind of just like what we just read. They shall vanish completely. When Thanos, who was supposed to represent the Most High in that movie, if you didn't put that together, but when he snapped his hands, they just turned into dust. Continuing. And men shall enter caverns in the rock and hollows in the ground before the terror of the Lord and dread his majesty. When he comes forth to overawe the earth, on that day men shall fling away to the flying foxes and the bats, the idols of silver and the idols of gold, which they made for worshiping. So to me, I believe he's talking about our phones, because iPhone silver, iPhone gold. And I know this prophecy was for them, 600, 700 BC, somewhere in there when Isaiah first wrote this. It was for that time. But my understanding of the Abari people, the Hebrew people, is our history is cyclical, meaning there are a lot of prophecies in these books, especially in Isaiah, that are primed to come back around again. They're double layered prophecies. Okay. So yeah, the idols made of silver and gold are going to be flung to the bats and the foxes. He's telling us something's up with our phones. And if you haven't caught on already, like, our phones are, they have radiation, the Wi-Fi, all things that are not good for the human body. When you know how the human body works, you're electromagnet. You're a giant electromagnet battery. That's essentially what we are. And the Wi-Fi messes up our aura field. It messes up our personal reception in our pineal gland to the Most High. I believe he gives us messages literally every day. If we're out trying to get the sun rays at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, whenever the sun comes out, I believe in those first moments of the morning, he's giving us whatever we need for that day to get up and going. But if we have our phones next to us constantly, it's going to impair receiving whatever messages we should be receiving. Okay. Continuing. And they shall enter the clefts of the rock and the crevices in the cliffs before the terror of the Lord in his dread majesty, when he comes forth to overawe the earth. Oh, cease to glorify man, who has only a breath in his nostrils. For by what does he merit esteem? Oh, cease to glorify man, who has only a breath in his nostrils. For by what does he merit esteem? And again, no offense to Yahushua. I'm not talking about him. But when I read this verse, this makes me think of the Christian Jesus. For by what does he merit esteem? All right. I'll leave it right there. So that was Isaiah chapter 2 and just my take on it. I hope this helped somebody. I know that I'm not right about a lot of things, but I know that the Most High has given me some great information to share. So chew out the meat, spit out the bones. I think that's how it goes. And if this helped you, leave a comment, whatever. And share it with somebody if you think it helps somebody else. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Salah.